call today and you've been part of helping us spearhead this project, you're the differentiator. You are the key link of really what I believe we are bringing transparency to the marketplace. And so hopefully you've been able to see a lot of the media that we have through the Start My Ripple website and on Rippln.com. And, you know, what we're doing right now is starting our go live sequence as we're starting to roll out more and more details of how someone is going to get paid or incentivized to share different aspects of whether it's different content that they like, different commerce they like, or different apps that they might use in today's marketplace. And what I wanted to do is really give everyone just a snapshot for the next 2 to 3 minutes, or a state of play of where we're at as a company. And this concept we've been evolving for literally over the last 14 months. And as we've been evolving this concept, we've made a lot of different pivots in the market based on the feedback and what we've seen of the people throughout the world and the audiences that have driven the biggest movements in today's marketplace. And as we went live, our goal was to launch with 4 different phases of our program, starting with eyeball acquisition, going into a transaction model, and then introducing commerce, and then finally a platform where everyone can participate by consumers becoming creators of launching their own products within the Ripple. And we had this scaled out and timelined based on the type of market penetration we could get throughout the world. And what I mean by market penetration is how many people we could get to join the Ripple. That is your audience, and that is because of the conversation that you're carrying. And our goal literally was to roll the first 3 phases of this program out over the course of the first 12 months. And based on the reception and based on this concept and conversation going viral, we were able to achieve our benchmarking goals that we had set for 12 months. We were able to achieve that within 2 weeks of us starting our buzz campaign. So literally up until now, we have literally just been in a buzz phase, talking about a 30,000-foot perspective of this Ripple, the people's voice, and the ability to get paid off the ripple effect you create in the marketplace. And for those of you that have been participating with our game and sending out invites and inviting people to Ripple, I want you to look at your ripple effect already today. Isn't it crazy? Just by carrying a conversation, you can see how by you sharing it with one other person or 5 other people, how the ripple effect can take you into 20 different countries, and the amount of people that can be touched just based on your conversation we're already tracking. For some of you, it's 100, 500. For some of the people on the line, it's already reached 10,000, 20,000, or 100,000 people that they have touched because of the conversation they started about people finally getting rewarded off of their social graph. Now, what does that mean, you getting rewarded off your social graph? That's what you're going to learn today. And here's what I'm going to ask you. To keep an open mind and understand, we're going to have more and more media out on the simplicity of our rewards program. But our rewards program is based on you simply social sharing different things that you like, whether it's an app, whether it's going to be content that you love that has impacted you, or whether it's going to be a product, a hard good offer that someone might buy in the market. It's things that we're already doing, and we're already driving commerce, and we're already driving revenue for so many companies because of the influence we have with our social graph or the people that are within our ripples in other communities. But Rippln is about rewarding those that are driving those communities, and those rewards should go back to you, period, end of statement. And so we're super excited about launching our incentivized sharing rewards plan, and this is going to be the very first phase of you just getting some basic understanding of some of the language that we're going to use and some of the percentages based on those offers being perpetuated out in the marketplace. The coolest thing about this is we are going to gamify this entire experience to where someone can simply just plug into our system, start social sharing and having fun, inviting fans to like what we're doing and other players that want to share in this conversation, and the reward system will happen automatically. And so with that being said, it's definitely a pleasure once again and a humbling experience to be able to see the type of growth that you guys have created. created and the conversation and buzz that you've created around the world. And I can tell you, we're very fortunate to have so many quality people see what we see and believe what we believe. And the reality of it is that's the differentiator in today's market. It's not about the product. It's not about the technology. It's always about the audience and the people that you can attract. And, really the success of Rippln is going to be based and predicated on the quality of visionaries and the quality of people that we can attract to see what we see and really get passionate about this movement of helping people understand their value in the marketplace. And that conversation is the conversation that's lighting up so many people around the world with so many different backgrounds, cultures, and that's something that we feel very humbled and blessed as a company to be a part of and to help support this movement. And I can tell you our commitment is to making sure that each and every one of you have a stable platform that you can get rewarded for helping build and drive, and also to create a clean, compliant environment. Our commitment to you is absolutely whatever it takes. So with that being said, it's a pleasure of mine to introduce everyone to someone that, has been in business with, the key people behind this company for literally a decade. He understands international business as well as anyone on the planet, and he's been a major contributor to helping us really evolve this innovative reward system, and that is going to literally reward all of the transactions that take place, whether it's sharing content, apps. Eventually you're going to see things like music and a lot of movies and a lot of other cool things. And it's someone that has really spent tireless amount of hours and time over the last 10 months, 12 months, helping us evolve this concept and spearhead what we're doing. And so with that being said, he's going to lead you today through this process. Make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen. Take notes, and just another reminder, this is just phase one. You're going to see this become animated. You're going to see a lot of different media in the upcoming weeks talking about this innovative reward system going through a social graph and a platform that you're creating based on players and fans. So with that being said, without any further ado, calling in from Dallas, Texas, Mr. Curtis Broom.
Thanks, Brian. It's a pleasure. Can you still hear me clearly? I just always like to check.
Can hear you perfectly.
All right, great. And listen, everybody, thanks for joining us on this webinar presentation. And let me start same way we did last night by first of all sending a shout out back out to you, Brian, because you are the visionary. You're really one of the driving forces. I know it's part of a team. There's no doubt it's a whole team effort. It's not any one individual, but ultimately there has to be someone leading the ship, and you've done an extraordinary job, and we all appreciate you, and we appreciate the humility and the passion with which you lead that ship. So thanks so much for all you do. Really appreciate you too. And we appreciate everybody who's taken the time out of your schedules, and again, we're to pack out again another webinar, and obviously it's an indication, as Brian said, of the excitement that is going global. And so now we're going to talk about how that excitement turns into something really substantial. I mean, the impact is already substantial, but how it can impact people substantially in more of a financial way. Now, as we go through this, we want to manage some expectations. We want to set some expectations. So let me do something here real quick. I realize I've actually got it on my pen versus my pointer. There we go. Oh, all right. And Brian or whoever might want to mute some background thing. There we go. Folks, we're going to go through this as a high-level presentation. As Brian had said, there's going to be some great media and some other things that will be coming out over the days ahead that will help us go into a deeper view of this. But we want to give you an overview, and that's why we wanted to manage the expectation and the outcome. The desire is not to have you be a PhD or a professor in the Rippln Reward System by the time we're done. The desire here is to help you realize, wow, I may not understand all of it, but it's powerful. I may not have it all down specifically, but this is awesome. This is amazing. And then you're going to have stuff that will bring it all into focus for you, and that's going to be great. And that's what we're going to be doing. We'll be doing the deep dives later. This is a high-level dive. And so where we want to start is we want to start with a few things, setting a foundation. And first, I want to shout out. I want to make sure, Rob, are you there, Mr. Rob DeBoer? Are you on the calls or on the webinar as well? I think you were there earlier.
I'm on, Curtis. Thanks so much.
Outstanding. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing a presentation that I really can't take credit for. Rob is someone who, again, has also had a very long-standing relationship with many of the folks who are in many of the key team behind developing Rippln. He has a magical ability to take all this information and try and bring it down into something that is just very simple and direct. He'll do this. And so, Rob, there will be times during the presentation I'll reach out to you because you've also got a great background in team building, not just domestically but globally. And I want to reach out to you just a couple of times to get your thoughts and your feedback, because I know that you've done a great job of taking all this information and creating a simple way to express it. But I know ultimately, as someone who's building a Rippln and has that passion as well, I just wanted to shout out and thank you for what you've done here. But I'd love to have your kind of feedback and interaction together as we go through this. So thanks for joining us today. So let's do this. As we get started, here's the analogy I want to share with all of you, and I think it will help set the mind frame. I'm sure that there literally were thousands who were trying to get onto this this webinar, and we've already kind of packed it out. But for those of you who are here from all over the world, I'm sure if we could meet face to face, if I asked you if you knew how to drive a car, most of you would raise your hands and say yes. And then if I asked how many of you could name every single part of a moving part of an internal combustion engine and exactly how it works, other than the master mechanics, nobody would raise their hand. And why is that? Because it's not really necessary. The question is, how can you possibly get in a car that will take you from your current location, where you currently are, to where you dream and desire to be, if you don't understand how the engine works, because that's what gets you there? Simple. You left the engine building to engine building experts and said, to get where I'm going, I don't have to understand how the engine works. I need to understand how to drive the car. And that's very quick and simple. You get in, you shut the door, buckle up, put the key in, turn it on, put it in gear, and then you know what? You need to know three things: the steering wheel, the brake, and the gas. Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to really spend time going a little deeper and letting you know that this is not just a car. This is a Formula One racing machine. This is not just any engine. This engine is truly a Formula One pristine, precise racing engine. I mean, it's the elite of all engines and automobiles. However, how to drive is still incredibly simple. And that's what we're going to talk about first, how to drive Rippln. If you know that you're an expert in this, the rest of it as we go through will just open your eyes to the possibilities. And there are three simple steps. The way you drive the Rippln machine, the Rippln Formula One machine, is number one, you simply become a master of inviting people to become a part of the Rippln as fans, to engage in the Rippln. That's step one, and that's free for them. When you become a master of being able to invite and get people to engage that invitation, accept that invitation, the masters right now of the Rippln are those who are able to say the fewest words, get the most invitations deployed domestically and globally, and get people to execute those invitations and become fans of the Rippln as fast as possible. The people who have determined how to do that, regardless of what this reward system is, they're building the biggest Ripplns. Why? Because step two, as we start moving towards the next phase, from buzz phase into some of the advanced phase and the rewards phases that Brian talks about, not everyone is going to want to move into the monetized and incentivized sharing system. Not everyone will. Many people will just want to stay free fans. There is a great value in being a fan. You're going to have lots of good free stuff that will improve the quality of your life, like the Rippln Communicator and other things. You're going to have, as commerce is added, you'll have different product offers that all of us will find valuable in our life. And as fans, as you consume those products and make those purchases and play the Rippln game, when you truly get in the game just as a fan, you'll be able to accumulate those game points, and over time you can redeem those points for rewards that have true value in your life. So there will be many people who decide just to remain a fan. That's okay. But there will be those who see the true long-term potential of moving and doing what we call powering up and becoming a player. Step two, you just help those fans who see what you see, they see what we see, and they decide they'd like to be a player with you. You just help them power up and become a player. And we're going to show you how that works today. It's a very, very simple process. And step number three, what do? You duplicate that. You help those players do what you did. And that's it. If you understand how to, and you become good, really good, become a master of those three steps, this plan works. That's how you drive it. You don't have to understand how it works. It will just work. But with that said, let's go in and start to dig in, because that's all. It's that simple. And so just don't get distracted. Instead, get engaged. And we're going to show you why it's exciting. We're going to start by laying a foundation with some definitions so that as we go through it, these terms will kind of, now you don't have to jot this down. If you're out there, you don't need to be taking notes. This is being recorded. It will be replayed. As Brian said, much of this information is coming out in more and more depth through different media. We just want you to kind of sit there and absorb and get a feel for what's going on with the reward system. First of all, there's a term you're going to hear us use in the system occasionally called the inviter. A person that is directly becomes a part of the Ripple whose ever invitation they accepted, that person is their inviter. And they become a part of the Ripple on the very first Ripple of that inviter. Okay, that's what an inviter is, the person who sent the invitation and it was accepted. You're going to hear us talk about engagement. Engagement means any activity in the Rippln ecosystem within the last 30 days. Literally, just a fan, a player, anybody, just someone logging in and taking a look at the Rippln dashboard, just seeing how big and how far their Ripple has reached. That's engagement. If they purchase an offer, that's engagement. If they send an invitation, that's engagement. Now, the Rippln dashboard, that's what we call the simple tracking overview of your Ripple, and that's what everybody's seeing now. In your dashboard, you have access to send invitations. You've got access to see your Ripple counts, and just grand totals right now. But you can see the total number of Ripples and people and countries. You can send invitations from the system, okay? That's the Rippln dashboard. However, as we move towards the reward system, you're going to see two other things introduced that really help expand and accelerate the potential of the Ripple. The first is the first system that involves a fee. It's called the RTP, Rippln Tracking Platform. And this is an incredibly powerful component of those who want to build huge Ripples. Even as fans, this will give you a tremendous advantage at accelerating and exploding the growth of your Ripple. The Rippln Tracking Platform is a $69.95 US annual charge, but what this does, it implements for you a complete, detailed, and feature-rich tracking system. It will track all of the Ripple growth activity. You'll be able to dig deep. Right now, in the basic dashboard, you see only those you've personally invited, and you see grand totals of people and Ripples and countries. With the Rippln Tracking Platform, and this is a choice, if you choose to do this, and we'll show you how that works, you're now going to be able to see all the way down into your Ripple, all the hotspots of accelerated activity. You'll be able to see who's truly driving those multi-country and accelerated growth. And then you can reach down within and help them and communicate with them and say, anything I can do to help, anything that will accelerate the growth of your Ripple. And again, that's an annual charge. It's, that works out to an average of less than $6 per month, but it's just paid annually, once a year, and you now get to see the complete detail of your Ripple. And then the next system is called the RRS, the Rippln Reward System. And that's a $25 monthly fee system that will give you access. And what the RRS does, this is for those who choose to participate in the monetization of the Ripple. They want to share in the monetary incentivized sharing rewards. This then tracks all of the monetary and all the commercial and all the transaction activity in your Ripple, and it breaks it down in detail so you can see all of that transaction activity, and you can see exactly how much of that transaction activity you are qualifying for and will be receiving as you qualify for different components of that transaction activity. The Rippln Reward System specifically is for those who want to participate in the monetization of the Ripple. The RTP is for those who want to see the complete depth of the Ripple to drive accelerated Ripple growth. And those are the only two fee components as we move into the incentivized sharing portion. You're going to hear a term called Ripple 1. Your first Ripple, whenever you directly invite someone, whether they're a fan or a spectator or a player, and they accept your invitation, they join Rippln on your first Ripple, which is referred to often as Ripple 1. And you'll hear that term. You'll hear the term personal fan. Any person who has personally accepted an invitation and is still a fan status, that is a personal fan. Those are the fans on your first Ripple or Ripple 1. You're going to hear about a Ripple fan. Now, Ripple fans are any fan anywhere in your entire Ripple, whether they're a personal fan or they're in further Ripples beyond. They're the fans personally invited by others within your Ripple. Those are Ripple fans. And finally, you'll hear about a term called Ripple team. And a Ripple team means that any individual, whether they are a spectator, fan, or player that you have personally invited, therefore they are in your first Ripple or your Ripple 1, as they build their own Ripple, that creates Ripple teams within your total global Ripple. So for example, If you had a total number of spectators, fans, and players of 17 people in your Ripple 1, those would represent 17 Ripple teams that will build and be developing within your Ripple. Finally, team captain. When a spectator or fan, who are the free participants, if they choose to power up and become a player, whoever the inviter is that introduced that invited them and brought them to the Ripple, that inviter becomes that player's team captain, and they're that player's team captain permanently. With those definitions, let me go through a couple of other things as we kind of set the stage to now begin going through the reward system. When we move into the reward portion, which and the commercialization portion, which is, again, as Brian said, happening very quickly in the next few weeks, there are going to be two types of product offerings that move through the Ripple. There will be so many different types of products or services, virtual products, in some cases even physical products that can be delivered to different markets around the world. And again, we started, there may be a few, and then dozens, and then hundreds, and then thousands, and then literally tens of thousands over the years ahead as we build this massive global Ripple. Every single product or service provided through Rippln will fall into one of two product offering program and categories. What's called a coaching reward offer or a coaching offer, and it's part of the coaching reward program, or it will be considered a loyalty offer and is part of the loyalty rewards program. So just think of it this way. There are two product offering programs, and there are two types of reward programs: coaching reward program, loyalty reward program. And all it means is that every product or service that is brought into the Rippln environment, it will be one or the other. It will never be both. It will just be chosen based upon the characteristic and the nature of that product, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that here. But it will be chosen to be either a loyalty offer or a coaching offer. And coaching offers, when purchased or sold throughout the Ripple, create coaching reward points, and the benefits, the reward system, the incentivized sharing that is provided to players based on those coaching offers are paid weekly. Loyalty offers generate loyalty reward points through the Ripple, and the loyalty reward program that then allows you to be monetarily incentivized and incentivized sharing on loyalty offers, those are paid monthly. So that's the basic definition and overview of things that you'll need to be aware of as we go through the compensation and the reward model now. First thing we want to talk about as we talk about the reward model is there are three categories of statuses, what we call participants, ranks, and levels. And here's why these are important. If you understand the different types of participants and what defines them, if you understand those who become players, the different ranks, and if you understand the different levels that people can move through, then the whole reward model will be much simpler to understand. First of all, there are four types of participants, basically. First, there's what we call a spectator. A spectator is someone who has merely received an invitation and accepted and engaged and executed that invitation. Whoops, we have completely filled this bridge. A spectator is someone who has accepted the invitation and become a part of Rippln. They've not yet even logged in. They've just literally just finished the invitation registration process. At that instant in time, that individual is considered a spectator in the system, in the Rippln environment. The next type of participant is what's called a fan. A fan is just a spectator who's now engaged the platform. And by engaged, literally, they just logged in. So you go from spectator to fan potentially within seconds. You finish executing the invitation, you're a spectator temporarily, and then you log in to the platform to actually look at your Ripple and see your invitations and begin engaging. You're now a fan. As long as someone engages the platform at least once every 30 days, they always remain a fan status. If someone does not even log in or engage the platform in any way, they don't log in to just take a look at it and see where things are, to send an invitation to do anything, then they would, after 30 days, revert temporarily back to a spectator status. The minute they just log in, just something as simple as that, or they send the communication through the communicator app, any engagement with the platform, they immediately become at least a fan status again. The third type of participant is called a super fan. And this is someone who makes a decision, like we said before, they really want to accelerate and explode the growth of their Ripple. A super fan is a fan. So again, they've engaged and invited, they've been invited and engaged, but they've made the decision that they do wish to have access to the Rippln tracking platform. So they have paid the annual $69.95 Rippln tracking platform fee Even though they're still a fan, they realize as a fan, if I build a bigger, faster, more explosive Ripple that reaches further through the gamification process, I'm going to get more and more reward points as a fan that later I can convert to things that give true value in my life. And so as a super fan, they said, I want to drive my Ripple. And there's great value in that. And the value they can receive as a super fan is far beyond the expense of the Rippln tracking platform. That's a decision people make who really want to go into an accelerated process, but they may not have decided they want to move into monetization reward. And that's fine. That's certainly their choice. And then finally, the fourth status, or the fourth type of participant, is what's called a player. All a player is, very simple to understand, simple chart. A player is a super fan. They're invited, engaged, and they've got the tracking platform in place who has said, I want to participate in the monetization and in the reward model of Rippln, which means they've then also subscribed to the monthly Rippln Reward System for a $25 a month fee. Now that system is tracking all of the transaction activity in their entire Ripple, both coaching offer transactions, loyalty offer transactions, so that player is now eligible to be rewarded monetarily. And that's it. There are no other fees. There aren't other expenses. There's no other cost to be able to participate and be rewarded financially for all of those coaching and loyalty offer opportunities that will be happening throughout your Ripple as we then engage commerce here very shortly in the next few weeks and then expand it over the years to come. There's nothing more than that. Now, what you can do is you can potentially maximize and increase your potential. We're going to show you how to do that. And that has to do with player ranks. To actually be able to receive the monetary result of being a player, you need to move up through player ranks. And here they are. First of all, obviously an unranked player is someone who has not yet been able to move into an income receiving. A player can start to accumulate, they're in a position where they are able to be able to earn on all the activity, but there's one thing that is still missing, and that is they need to have created a fan base. They need to have acquired fans and accelerated the size of the Ripple. And here's the way that works. You move from player to what is, well, hang on just one second. As just a player, until you have started to expand that Ripple, you are in a position where you have the possibility of earning cash, but you're not yet able to convert those reward points that are moving through the reward system to cash. That happens when you reach the first player rank called Pro, and you are now a Pro player. It's very simple. There's no other expense. All there is this. When you, as a player, have 5 personal fans, 5 Rippln fans, 5 people that you have personally invited, and they have accepted your invitation, they're not a player, they're just a fan. Those are free folks. They just accepted a free invitation and they have engaged the platform. And as long as a player has 5 fans, then they are a pro player. And now that pro player can convert those rewards that they're accumulating because of the loyalty and coaching offer activity throughout their Ripple, they can convert it to cash. So again, before we go further, let's keep this in mind. To be a player, it's just a super fan, which means you have a $70, $69.95 per year Rippln tracking platform. You have subscribed to the $25 a month Rippln Reward System. And then, as the system is tracking all of that activity, when you get 5 free fans that you've personally invited, and as long as you maintain that, boom, you can now convert those rewards to cash as a pro player. And we'll show you both in the loyalty and coaching offer environments how that works here in just a second. However, there are additional player ranks. Player ranks allow you to maximize the earnings of the activity that is happening in your Ripple. And the next player rank is called All-Star. And All-Star is just like a pro player. They have 5 fans. They are able to convert, but here's how it happens. When you reach the All-Star player status, you are able to increase the rewards on the exact same coaching and loyalty activity in your Ripple by 50%. Now, how do you do that? It's very, very simple. Now, these are for people who want to go make a decision, and everything's just about a yes or no decision. Do I want to increase my reward? Yes. Fine, just do this. For coaching rewards, all you have to do is have one personal fan, just one personal fan who you either have sold or they have purchased a coaching reward offer, a coaching offer, and you will increase your rewards on that offer by 50%. on the entire lifetime of that offer in the coaching offer system. If you would like to increase by 50% the reward activity, the amount of rewards and the amount of monetization reward you receive on the loyalty reward aspect of the program, same thing. If you just have one personal fan who you have either sold or has purchased any loyalty reward of any kind, then there you are able to increase your loyalty rewards paid for that month in that program by 50%. Next, there's the MVP level. MVP is just like Pro. There's nothing more that you do. You just need those 5 fans. You can convert your rewards to cash, but you can receive an additional 50% increase in the standard Pro player reward for coaching and loyalty activity. And so we're now a total of 100% increase over the Pro player amount. How do you do that? Simple. You make a total of 3 coaching reward sales. That's 1 sale to 3 personal fans, or 1 loyalty offer sale to 3 personal fans, and you've now increased by twice as much the Pro player reward amount that you receive. Now, let me make sure that before we go on, we understand this. As a Pro player, the only expense has been you have a Rippln tracking platform and the monthly fee, and that puts you in a business, it puts you in a system where all the systems are working for you. All you do is invite, help fans become players, and help them invite, and that's it. And when you have 5 free personal fans, you can now convert the rewards to cash. There is nothing else that has to happen. As your Rippln grows organically, as offers continue to explode through the Rippln, as fans, spectators, players, as everyone purchases and benefits from these rewards, and all that reward activity takes place, with no more effort as a Pro player, you can earn cash incentivized sharing rewards. The decision is if you would like to actively engage in promoting those rewards, and if you even go through the effort of selling and promoting those to your personal fans, you can increase the reward amount. But that's a choice. If you decide, you know, I really don't want to promote or sell, don't have to. And you will naturally be paid on the activity within your Ripples. MVP and All-Star are for those who are willing to engage more aggressively in promoting and expanding the sales activity in the Rippln, and therefore they get higher reward value. But whether or not you wish to do that is entirely a decision that is left up to you. That's the magic of the program. It's simple, direct, and it's very respectful. Everybody makes their own decisions, so everybody comfortably gets to participate in the way they wish. And finally, the third aspect is the Pro player level. So ranks determine how much you get paid on the qualified coaching and loyalty offer activity in your Rippln, the portions that you are qualified to earn on. Levels determine how much of the activity within your Rippln you get paid on. So ranks determine how much you're paid on those offer purchases and offer purchase activities. Levels determine how much of the activity you're able to earn those rewards on. And here's the way it works. There are basically 6 levels, 6 Pro player levels. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then All-Star. And how you move up in levels is, again, a very natural process. If you focus on the 3 simple steps of inviting and inviting more and more and more, some people stay fans, some become players, and they duplicate, and it grows and grows and grows. Here's what happens. When you have personally invited, you have 2 players in your Rippln 1, and you have 5 personal fans, with 10 total Rippln fans, you're a level 1 Pro player. That's a level 2 Pro player has 4 Rippln 1 players they personally invited, 10 personal fans, fans in their first Rippln, and a total of 50 Rippln fans in their entire Rippln. Level 3 has 6 Rippln 1 players that they've invited. They have 15 personal fans, Rippln 1 fans they've invited, and a total of 150 fans, Rippln fans in their entire Rippln globally, worldwide. A level 4 Pro player has 8 Rippln 1 players they've invited, 15 personal fans they've invited, and 1,000 Rippln fans total in their entire global Rippln. Level 5 has 10 Rippln 1 players, 10 personal fans, and 2,500 Rippln fans total in their entire global Rippln. Now, you may have noticed that level 5, the personal fans, has decreased a little. Up through level 4, we want people to be maximizing their invitations, because the truth is many, many people are just going to want to be fans, and then some will want to be players. But as you get up to level 5 and then to All-Star, we realize you're going to be having such a strong, growing, and accelerating Rippln that you may need to spend more time helping than you are just inviting. You'll always be inviting, but maybe more time helping, so your personal fan requirement is reduced. However, as more fans naturally just become players, that growth happens automatically. You really don't have to put a lot of effort in that. Just help people understand it, and it takes care of itself. And finally, an all-star is when you have 15 Ripple 1 players. You only need to have 5 personal fans to remain at the all-star level and 15,000 total Ripple fans. Now, let's put this in perspective. We're only about 5 or 6 weeks old. We have people who have never, ever marketed, either in network marketing, internet marketing. They've never done anything like this before, who in a matter of literally 5 or 6 weeks, they have hundreds, some thousands. We have college students that have 10,000 in their Ripple, and they've never done something like this before. Now imagine as this Ripple grows in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. The way you move up in player levels, pro player levels, just do those 3 steps and teach others to do those 3 steps, and naturally this will happen. So how do you move up in levels? You can be aggressive about it, or you can let it happen organically. It's all a decision that you make. With those 3 things, now that you understand participants, ranks, and levels, let's show you how those ranks and levels will now reward you. As we've said, there are 2 types of product programs. There are coaching reward products, there are coaching offerings, and loyalty offerings, which create coaching reward points and loyalty reward points. Let's talk about the coaching reward products and the coaching reward program. There are going to be types of products that in their nature are probably the types of products that are better served when people assist at least their fans in being able to create and enjoy the value of it, or it's better if individuals help those they're personally inviting with those products, or they help maximize that value with them. All of our products or services, anyone who is able to purchase them will be able to benefit from them personally, and none of this is complicated, but there may be some things that coaching value really enhances. And we will select those to be a part of the coaching rewards program. In some cases, they may be actually those that are more valuable products, those that actually create larger reward point amounts and those types of things. But for those products that go into the coaching reward program, here's how you receive rewards based upon your rank as well as level. Here's the way it works. When a coaching offer is sold, when a coaching offer is purchased anywhere in the Ripple, it creates coaching reward points. Those reward points from the person who purchases that coaching offer, the reward points move up through the Ripple, and portions of those reward points are allocated to different ranks and different levels. And here's the way it works. As those reward points move up the Ripple, 5% of those reward points are given to the first level 1 pro player up the Ripple. Now, if that pro player is an all-pro or an MVP, then it increases up to an additional 2.5 points or 7.5%, or if they're an MVP, it's an additional 2.5 for a total of 10%. Then the remaining reward points continue up, and the first level 2 pro player gets 5%. If they're an MVP, they actually end up with a total of 10% of the reward points. And this continues on up until its reward points have been shared with the first level 3, 4, and level 5. Then, for the first time, the second level 5 pro player also gets 5%, or 10% total if they're an MVP. And then the first, second, and third all-star up the Ripple receive the remaining reward point payouts based on that coaching offer sale, anywhere from 5 up to an additional 2.5 or additional 5% based on being just a pro player and MVP. Let me give you an example. Let's imagine, for example, that, in fact, I'll just do this right here. Let me come over here, and let's imagine, there we go. Let's say that there's a coaching offer sale. Let's say it's a product that is $200. Let me draw a line there. Boom. And let's say, just to keep these numbers simple, that it creates 100 reward points. What that means is, from that coaching offer sale, those 100 coaching reward points, that means that 5 points would be given to the first level 1 pro player, or a total of 7.5 points would be given to, if there was an all-pro, or a total of 10% or 10 points would be given to that first level pro player if they're an MVP. And this continues up. And so 5 points would be dropped off here, If they're MVPs, a total of 10 would have been dropped off for them. All the way up to the All-Stars. And so this continues. As you accumulate these reward points, coaching reward points are then converted, and 1 point is paid as $1 at the end of that period. Now, coaching rewards are paid weekly. So each week, the total accumulated coaching offer points that you have accumulated would be paid to you at your appropriate rank and level in terms of dollars. So if you'd accumulated through all the coaching offers that you receive points on, if you'd accumulated 1,000, 2,000, 550, 612 coaching points, you'd be paid $612 at the end of that week. And that's how the coaching offer differential incentive works. However, every time that there are coaching offers, there's also some direct incentives paid every time a coaching offer is purchased within the Rippln. And the way the direct incentives work is, first, there's a personal fan sales bonus of 10%. If a ranked player, whether they are pro, all-pro, or MVP, it's the same for all of them. When a personal fan makes a purchase of a coaching offer, a 10% personal fan sales bonus is paid directly out of the total reward points issued for that product. In the previous example, if there was 100 reward points, then 10 points or $10 would be paid directly to the ranked player of that personal fan. And so every coaching offer will generate these direct sales bonuses based upon to the person who basically, if it's a player that invited them in the Rippln. Then there's also a matching bonus. Every time a coaching reward incentive of any kind, any of the, as you saw, those previous levels, all those levels of coaching reward incentives, any time a ranked player, and it makes no difference whether that player is pro, all-pro, or MVP, anytime a ranked player earns a coaching reward, obviously an MVP earns the highest amount of coaching rewards. They've got maximum reward potential. But anytime any player receives any income that is considered a coaching reward incentive, their team captain receives 10% of that as a matching bonus. Now, it makes no difference if that team captain is a pro and the coaching reward was paid to an MVP. That team captain still receives 10%. So even though the MVP earned literally a 100% more coaching incentive than just a standard pro player would have, if their team captain is just a pro player, they will still earn a full 10% matching bonus. And that's the coaching offer and the coaching reward program. Now let's talk about products that go through the loyalty rewards program. The loyalty reward program is this. The percentages are similar, meaning as you move higher in level, then the loyalty offers are placed into the Rippln, and it's paid on a generational basis. And we'll show you what we mean by that. It's paid based on pro player ripples. The similar numbers you saw before, 5% paid to a level 1 pro player, 5% level 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., and all-star. And you can maximize those if you're an all-pro or MVP. Remember what we said, though. Levels determine how much of the activity you get paid on. Your rank determines how much you get paid. Pro, all-pro, and MVP determine if you get paid 5% or an additional 2.5% for a total of 7.5% at all-pro, or an additional 2.5% for a total of 10% at MVP. So rank determines how much, but levels determine how much of the Rippln activity you get paid on. And here's the way it works. On all loyalty offer sales activity within the Rippln, if you're a level 1 pro player, you get paid on 2 pro player ripples. Now, let me do something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch now to another diagram. Here's how I'm going to draw it for you. Let's do this. Let's take a look at loyalty, Rippln, activity. Okay? And let's start with you. Okay, so here you are. Again, here's your first Rippln. These are the folks that you have personally invited. Some are fans, some are super fans, some are pro players, etc. Okay? Here's their Rippln that they've invited. That's your Rippln too. Here's the next Rippln, etc. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put in a few ripples here and just get you a feel for what this looks like. Okay? So here's all the ripples that it expands, and many of you have seen ripples that are going to hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of people. You've got folks throughout all these ripples in countries all over the world. So again, use your imagination. You got folks throughout all these ripples all over the world, and it continues to just grow and expand. Why? It's simple. Invite a fan for free to come into an environment that gives them great value in their life. The way it works is this. Let's say that you obviously invited this person and they're a fan, but they purchased one of the loyalty offers because it provides great value to them. And let's say this is the folks they've invited, and this person is also a fan, and they have purchased some loyalty offers. It could be downloading apps, it could be downloading music one day, it could be downloading games, it could be any of the loyalty offers that might move through the loyalty program. And let's say this fan here are their folks, and this person is a player. Now, they've not yet become a pro player, they're just a player, okay? And these are this is the first ripple of this person right here, and let's say this person's a fan, and finally this person introduced this person right here, and they're a pro player. All of the loyalty activity of all of those individuals is considered, since that's the first pro player, that is one pro player ripple. So all of this activity is one pro player ripple. What that means is that when you're a level 1 pro player, and remember it was very simple, all you had were 2 Ripple 1 players, you had a total of 5 personal fans and 10 total fans in your Ripple minimum. But as your Ripple continues to grow and expand, you would be paid on all the loyalty activity of 2 pro player ripples. And that includes all the activity of the fans, all the activity of the fans, spectators, super fans, and players between you and that other pro player. So when we talk about the number of ripples that in fact that you can be rewarded on the loyalty program, as you move up in level, it can be significant. It can truly be significant. And here's the way that works. When you get to level 2, you are paid those percentages based upon your rank on up to 4 pro player ripples. Level 3, you're paid on 6 pro player ripples. 6 pro player ripples could go down through 15, 20, 30, 60, 80, 212 total ripples of activity before 6 pro players are encountered in the ripple. At level 4, that's 8 pro player ripples. Level 5, that's 10 pro player ripples. On all of the loyalty reward purchases, all of the loyalty reward consumption of all fans, all spectators, all super fans, all players through 10 pro player ripples. And then you notice to the right, it's unpaid pro player ripples. What that means is, let's say that you are a level 5 and you're qualified to receive 10 ripples of pro player loyalty activity, all compressed, all those people in between, and 10 pro player ripples. But someone on your second ripple, they're a pro player also, but they're only a level 2. They only earn rewards on 4 pro player ripples. You earn rewards on 10. Well, when you become an all-star, that's when it gets extraordinary. An all-star is paid on 10 pro player ripples just like a level 5 pro player. However, an all-star also earns all of the unearned pro player ripples as far as the ripples go, without limit to the next all-star. In other words, if an all-star has a level 1 pro player who gets 2 ripples of pro player override, the all-star is paid the other 8 ripples that that level 1 player did not get. That is the power of being an all-star. And again, how do you get there? It's very, very simple. You follow 3 simple steps. You invite fans. You help fans who wish become players. You help players invite fans. You and those players become pro players. If you decide that you wish to be more aggressive, it's your choice, then you engage in the promotion and sales of offers to your fans. If you wish to let it just happen organically, that's fine. But as you teach others to follow these 3 steps, as the ripple grows and expands, as the excitement grows and literally explodes, as the ripple momentum and the ripple vibration that is being felt around the world just builds and builds and builds till it's just a roar, the movement up through the levels is what happens organically by those who stay engaged in these 3 simple processes. And if you look at this compensation model, as you see more and more detail come out about it, and as you get more and more familiar with it, What it means is that everything was designed so that if you do these things, the rest of it happens naturally. As offers become available, fans, players, super fans, we will just choose the offers that make sense for us and give the greatest value in our life, and we will not choose the offers that we're not as excited about. As the offers expand and expand, many more offers are purchased and used by so many people in the Ripple, creating great value. All of that activity, whether it's a coaching offer or a loyalty offer, is you receive incentivized sharing based upon what your rank and what your level is. And that's the power and magic of the Rippln compensation model. Anyone can do it because these 3 steps drive a Formula One racing machine. Whether you have experience in marketing or not, these 3 steps are still what everyone is doing. Some may do it bigger and faster because they've chosen and made a decision to be a little more aggressive. Some are doing it a little smaller and slower, but even small and slow can introduce someone who chooses to go big and fast, and their rewards on that person's choice will be tremendous over time. And so here's what I want to do. I want to take a second, and Rob, you, by the way, thanks so much. You put together just a beautiful and a simplified, brilliant presentation here. And of course, as we continue to add more stuff, it will be even simpler for people to dig into the depth and then even understand in more detail this thing. What we hope is that the people have seen what you and I've seen, and let me kind of get your impressions, because as you first saw this and started thinking about, I need to try and simplify its view, but you shared with some thoughts you had about the smile. You were really smiling about the fact that as you were doing it, I'm going to try and make it look simple, but the power is overwhelming. Rob, if you could take a moment, just share, because I know you've got a background. You've built huge teams globally and domestically, and you've got a lot of experience in the power of team building, and that's really what Rippln is. It's about building Ripple teams and building a giant ripple of teams of people around the world. Kind of share some of your thoughts as you're putting this, and I think it'll put a good perspective on it as we kind of move towards the end of this compensation overview.
You bet, Curtis, and thanks so much. You did a phenomenal job. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Just make sure you definitely speak up a little, and that'll help a bit, but you're coming through.
You got it. Well, look, I just think you did an incredible job. I want to thank Brian for having the vision, but I also want to thank you for really kind of putting it together. This all is a team effort, and I think if you watch this over and over, it's all going to come back to these 3 simple steps: inviting fans, helping fans become players, and helping players invite fans. And the reality is we're already doing that. What we're ultimately doing is creating an audience. The fact is, I didn't know I was creating an audience with Twitter, with Facebook, and now all of a sudden, people pay attention to my tweet. They may like that message I send out or that recommendation, and then they share it or they retweet it. And the reason that's exciting is because now we've monetized that equation. And so what I see here, and I just want to hit this one more time, is you need to choose at what level you want to participate. I think it's obvious that when you see the coaching rewards, when you see the loyalty rewards, and what does that mean, that everybody's going to want to be a pro player. They're going to want to get involved. They're going to want to maximize their potential. They're going to want to create that audience far and wide and then profit from it through offers. For example, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, what are you doing with your son and his football skills? Well, we've got an online coach that is an expert in wide receiver drills. Imagine if we push that out to people. I've got a friend, Jeremy Boone, that has a book series that he does, an audio book that says play your best, parent your best. I know personal development is very big to me, my kids, and I just think the Coaching Rewards program has so much to offer. But then also, when you look at the Loyalty Rewards program, these are tangible products, be it a favorite song, an album, maybe it's an energy drink, maybe it's a T-shirt. It really can be anything that we push through here. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. At what level do you want to participate? And then what rank? Meaning that determines the amount of monthly income you can earn on the Rippln activity, or the activity in Ripple, and then at what level? How far and wide do you want the amount of your Ripple activity for you to earn income? So I think we've kind of nailed it down to those 3 points. Participate, how much do you want to make on that participation, and then how far and wide of your Ripple activity do you really want to earn income? And so if you narrow it down to that, keep it to these 3 simple steps of inviting fans, helping fans become players, helping players invite fans, put all that together, relying on the company, as we know they're going to push incredible coaching rewards products, loyalty rewards products. We're going to continue to simplify this message. I think after watching last night to today, the light bulb's coming on more and more, and I think that will happen with other people. So please, make no mistake, this is going to get easier and easier, but at the end of the day, not only keeping it to these three simple steps, but when the offers become available and you see yourself naturally promoting something that you're passionate about, and you see people buying it because they're already buying stuff you refer and recommend, be it Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter, you're going to see how this all comes together. The software on the back end will do all the calculating. You can look and see what you're worth, what your potential is, and ultimately the activity that you create throughout your entire Ripple and the reach of that social graph. So Curtis, again, I want to throw it back to you and can't thank you enough. That was just a great job going through it. I think it's becoming clearer and clearer to people. And then at the end of the day, once we launch those offers, people are really going to hone in and understand why it's so important right now for us to reach that march to 1 million, for us to go out and share this with each and every one that we can. So thanks again, Curtis.
Thanks, Rob, and I appreciate that. And here's what I want to do. Here's how I want to wrap it up. In fact, I intentionally saved this to the very end because, you know, when you've got an hour-long webinar to go through, you have some people who make it in early, get excited, they can't stick around, or whatever it may be. But for those who are here, I want, because sometimes people are asking, well, can you give me a specific example? So I gave you a general example of a coaching reward. Let me show you the power of the Loyalty Ripple Activity Program and Ripple Loyalty Reward Program. And this will be the last thing I'll leave you with, then we'll wrap this up, and I think this is what will keep people awake at night. If we take a look at the steps, they're very simple, okay? Step number 1, you invite, and people become a fan, basically. They become a spectator, but the minute they log in, they're a fan. Step number 2, those who wish become a super fan because they want to see their Ripple. But right here at the fan level, those mean that we have now expanded the Ripple. And whether it's a fan or a super fan, either one, the key is that for become a pro player, which is where then you actually receive, as a player, you're eligible to accumulate those reward points, but a pro player gets paid on those reward points. And what is a pro player? A pro player has 5 or more. You can have 555,000 if you like, but a pro player has at least 5 plus, at least 5 or more fans or super fans. That is a pro player. What that means is that one individual has expanded the Ripple by at least times 5. Now, we know people who already have 63 fans and 128 fans and 264 fans because they just invited a lot of people. The average person has over 200 people in their mobile phone. Some, like myself, it's more like that. They have a lot. But the point is, you only need to have 5 to be a pro player. Let me tell you what that means. As a pro player, you have truly created value. Because in a platform like this, if you take a look at Facebook, if you take a look at Twitter, if you take a look at Pinterest, if you take a look at Instagram, one of the things we've talked about is the value is in engaged eyeballs. Let's just call it engaged eyes. When you have engaged eyes, that's why these companies have the $1 billion and some of them tens of billions of dollars plus values. It's not just having eyes, it's having engaged eyes. Remember, by definition, a fan or a super fan means they are at least engaged. And to be a pro player, you've gone from 1 person to 5 times yourself minimum. Minimum. So you, as a pro player, have brought value to the rippling graph. That's what we say in all of the information. It's about the value of your social graph. And you, as a pro player, have demonstrated specifically that you've multiplied the value by at least 5. Some people have multiplied it by 236 times, and they're still going. As a result, this value, Rippln believes, and is justified and believes it should be rewarded. Let me share with you one particular loyalty reward that happens on a monthly basis. As your Ripple grows, throughout all the ripples, without limit, all the way, every pro player, so every person in your Ripple who is a pro player, wherever they are, all the pro players, this means that specifically the system can identify that every one of these individuals, and imagine, now I want you to dream with me, this is a pretty small little picture, but imagine this picture when you have hundreds of ripples and tens and 20s and 30s and then hundreds of thousands of people in countries that you never even knew existed, and territories and islands in the middle where you got all that activity, but they are pro players. That means now a lot of people are going to be fans, some are going to be super fans, that's fine. Some are going to have no engagement at all, and they're just going to be a spectator. The minute they log back in again, they go to a fan. But that's okay. They're going to be fans, that's fine. Not a problem. We love them. In fact, there will be hundreds of millions of fans one day. That's great. It creates massive value in the Ripple. But for all the pro players who see what you see, believe what you believe, and choose to expand by at least 5, every single month, a pro player, by definition, the company is going to put into the Ripple 13 loyalty reward points every month. And for every month that a person is a pro player, they're going to put 13 loyalty points, because that means that during that month, that pro player made sure there were at least 5 engaged eyeballs. Imagine when there are millions of pro players. That means there are 5 times millions of engaged eyeballs, and imagine the value alone of the Rippln platform, the value of the Rippln social graph, just because of the engaged eyeballs. I'm not talking about any of the other coaching offers and products and services, any of the other loyalty offer products and services. I'm talking about the value of those engaged eyeballs. Every single month, that will be 13 loyalty points just because the pro player created engaged eyeballs. Now come up here and let's imagine that you are that all-star MVP pro player. You're getting paid 10% through 10 pro player ripples, and you are getting paid all of the unpaid ripples of activity until you hit another all-star way out here, wherever that may be. That means at 10%, that would be $1.30 from every single pro player everywhere in your Ripple, down 10 ripples of pro players, and then all the unpaid pro player ripples without limit all the way to another all-star through every Ripple invitation line in your entire global Ripple. Just the value of the loyalty reward points based on pro player engaged eyeball value that's been created, that one thing alone, and that's just one thing. Now imagine when there are hundreds of apps, all the games, and the in-app and in-game transactions through millions of people in your Ripple, throughout the Ripple that expands the globe. There are all the coaching offers, all the other stuff. And now imagine how powerful the Ripple is. That is the power of Rippln, and that's why we are so excited. The game is on. Are you ready to play? Again, over the next week, you're going to see much more details as the media and other things come out that show much more detail about this compensation reward model and how it works in much more detail and specifics. What you should be right now is so excited you can barely stand still. What you should be planning on doing the minute we conclude this webinar here in just a couple seconds is how many can I now go invite? And as Jonathan Budd said last night, here's what you do. Go invite 5 today. Make 5 calls. Don't get off the phone until all 5 accept the invitation. And then tomorrow make 5 more. And the next day make 5 more. And teach that through your whole team. And you will see your Ripple move when that culture happens. Following those 3 simple steps, you will see your Ripple create a game for you like you never imagined, and rewards that will blow your mind. So I want to thank Brian Underwood for kicking this off, and I want to thank him and the entire Rippln management and programming and just committed team. And I want to thank Rob. Thank you for putting together a beautiful presentation like this. Everybody, thanks so much for being with us on this webinar today. It's been recorded. It will be broadcast again and available to you. Please make sure you pay attention to all your Rippln HQ communications so that you can point your people at future and upcoming webinars. Pay attention over the next 7 and 10 and 14 days as more and more detailed information comes out regarding the Rippln Reward System so that you can continue to dive deep, increase your understanding, but most importantly, increase your excitement and increase the expansion of the Rippln. You guys have a great day, a great evening, and a great night from someplace in the world where you're coming in. Thanks so much, and bye for now.